All right, Pluto lovers, grab your tiki torches because we need to sit down here when you're going to talk about Pluto. So you'd be wondering, hey, we have 9 planets in our solar system. That's all we thought. We drew planets. We made models of the solar system, which I have one right here. I have a model of our solar system, styrofoam, and actually they do include a styrofoam ball of Pluto. Yes, they do. They have a styrofoam ball of Pluto. And I'm actually going to be painting this later and actually making this a different way. Probably do like a little diorama of these. But yeah, that's usually what I do in my hobbies, just make like solar system, arts and crafts projects usually. And yeah, this was actually, my brother actually got that at Walmart. It was at clearance. But yeah, that actually does include Pluto. But to all the Pluto fans out there, I hate to say this. Pluto is not a planet. Yep, I'm sorry. Pluto is not a planet. And here's why. So, in 1930, Clyde Tombaugh, who was an astronomer, he was observing at the Lowell Observatory, and he spent 6 days of just discovering what's in the far beyonds of our reaches. Remember, this is a time where everyone was looking for Planet X. Because when Uranus was discovered, Uranus was the first planet to really ever be discovered. And then Neptune was discovered by math and calculation. And then eventually you had Lowell creating the Lowell Observatory in Flagstaff, Arizona. Lowell dies. Clyde Tombaugh is an astronomer who uses these telescopes. And remember, this is after Lowell has died, and now this is where it becomes the famous Lowell Observatory at its time, as it was after construction and completion, where observers were just looking at the telescopes and seeing what's the far abyss. And remember, this is the time Planet X was being discovered still. And imagine, like I said, we've seen all these headlines on the news about Planet X for a couple years. But did you know that's been going around since Uranus was discovered? No one knew really if there was another planet out there that's been causing disturbances of other objects in the far outer reaches. Does it follow Newton's laws? So, yeah. So, Clyde Tombaugh uses the Lowell Observatory telescope, and he spends six countless days of just staring at the night sky and just imagining what's out there. And then he sees a dot through his lens, and he takes these photographs and he lays it out in 6 pieces, like 6 days. And he noticed during those 6-day pictures that this object was in different positions compared to the other photos from that previous day. So from day one, it's somewhere there, and then right in the center. Nope, in day 2, it moved. It's now up to the corner. There's day 3, and now it's up to this side. And up, it's this side of the stars and this side. What's out there that nobody knew what this object was? So eventually, later on, as they were observing this, and they gave it a name, Pluto. Pluto was discovered. And when you discover a planet, though, you always have to come up with criteria and rules. Like, well, how far, you always get questioned, how far away is this object that you're looking at? And you have to do the tests and calculations of how far this object is. And they calculated it's about 6 billion kilometers away, or about 4.6 billion miles away. So, and you have to realize also you have to follow its orbit's path. And I'm going to get to that real quick. So, Pluto is what we call a sedenoid, because these are like little objects that are in the far outer reaches of our solar system that have widely elongated orbits. And the word elongation is pretty much So our planets follow a flat plane, and their orbits are not perfectly round. They are elongated, they are stretched, and they have something called a perihelion and an aphelion. It just depends on how, if the, in point of their orbit, if they're closer to the sun or further away from. That makes them elongated. Pluto is extremely elongated, so as the far outer reaches of these objects, like these little planets like Sedna and these cosmic little planetoid things that are orbiting the far outer corners of our solar system that just have been recently discovered. And eventually we had new additions like Eris. We had Ceres. Ceres is located in the asteroid belt. And about, I think it was like 1850, so this is the decade leading up to the Civil War. And yeah, so in the 1850s, it was violent because, like I said, this is the last decade before Civil War, because this is where everything really started kicking the can down the road in the United States, where you had political parties and you had other things. So pretty much all that. And they discovered there's other objects in the asteroid belt along with Ceres. And they follow that. And they're just part of the asteroid belt. They're like little big pieces of asteroids between Mars and Jupiter. And that's how they discovered the asteroid belt. And eventually, we'll go further past that, we're going to go to the Kuiper Belt. So these Kuiper Belt objects, the Kuiper Belt is pretty much an area surrounded by ice, water, gases, and comets, and very cold reaches. You know, that I discovered like Pluto. We had Eris being the largest dwarf planet. We had Makemake that was discovered in 2005. We had Haumea, this egg-shaped little rock that has its own little ring system and has its little moon. We had, yeah, because Haumea was interesting when they discovered. They noticed that there was this object, this little dot that was actually spinning very, very fast. And it was like, and they followed up and they say, these dimensions of this object is weird. And they discovered by that, it looks like an egg shape because it's due to its rapid rotation causing the tidal bulging. So pretty much planets are not perfectly round. We have something called tidal bulging. So Earth is not perfectly round, it's bulged because of the gravitation between the moon and its fast rotation. And pretty much gravitational origins from other objects as well. We had resonances, we had gravitational synchronizing. We have all of that. And okay, so we're gonna go follow that. So there were 3 criterias. Here's why Pluto got in trouble. 1, is it round? Obviously. Does it orbit the sun? Obviously. But here's where Pluto got in trouble. Does it clear? No, it's not. Pluto's orbit is elongated, tipped extremely out of the plane of the solar system. During its 248 years, it crosses the orbit of Neptune. Not very planet-like to me, and not very planet-like to them when they came out with these criteria back in the early 2000s until they brought it to the table and eventually came out and said, hey, Pluto is no longer a planet. I'm sorry. And said, Pluto, we're sorry. We're going to have to demote you because you don't follow one of the 3 criterias, unfortunately. So that's why Pluto is demoted as a dwarf planet, along with Eris, Ceres, Makemake, Haumea. Those 5 other dwarf planets have their criterias. They just failed one of the criterias because of their extreme distances away from the sun. So they have their own orbit rules over in the Kuiper Belt regions of the solar system. Ceres, on the other hand, being in the asteroid belt, it does follow the sun. It, pretty much does that, but it's just its volume is just a large asteroid, and that's Ceres. Which I might probably do a video on Ceres. I might talk about it. So let me know in the comments down below. Do you guys want to see a video about Ceres? Let me know. So I'm gonna leave with this video. I'm sorry to all the lovers that love Pluto, and I can already see the tiki torches and all that coming around. I'll see ya. All right, so I'm gonna be filming on a different location, but also, did you know that almost the entire volume of Pluto is mainly ice? So if you take Pluto and you put it around where Earth's orbit is, it will just evaporate and grow a tail. So that's also why Pluto isn't a planet as well.